and welcome to another exciting episode of Barbara on the Rocks. Today's flavor of the evening is Cunning Sark Blended Scotch Whiskey, the Spirit of Adventure. Our topic tonight is Easter. What's up with the floating date? When you think about it, when you celebrate your birthday every single year, it's the same day every single year. My mother was born on May 8th. She died on August 11th. Not of the same year, of course. Every single year when my mother celebrates her birthday, it was on May 8th. And if I commemorate the day of her death, sadly, it is always going to be on August 11th because that is never going to change. One year, I'm not going to say, oh, well, this year we're going to commemorate it in July or in September. It's always going to be the same exact date, the date of birth, the date of death. It's going to be the same every single year. But for some reason, Easter, which is the celebration of the anniversary of the death and resurrection of Jesus, is never the same from year to year. And I've had great interest in this all of my life because I was born on Easter Sunday. I was born on March 29th in 1964, and it was Easter Sunday. From then until now, 59 years later, I think Easter has fallen on my birthday one time when I was maybe about 10 or 11, and never again. So I've always had this curiosity about why Easter fluctuates around, because no other date does. No other date of importance in our personal lives or on the liturgical calendar. It never fluctuates around. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the fact that Easter is determined by the spring equinox. I know that sounds very confusing because I've looked at it all my life and I've tried to figure it out. And I've always tried to determine if it's going to be on my birthday, and it never is. So I did a little bit of research, and I'm going to tell you that Konstantin Bylos, author of Calculating the Easter Date from timeanddate.com, explains the difference between the liturgical and the astronomical spring equinox, because there's two, and they're not always the same. First of all, the liturgical equinox is March 21st, and that is static. It never, ever changes. Every year, March 21st is going to be the March equinox. But astronomically speaking, the March equinox, the spring equinox, kind of fluctuates. It's the first day of spring. It could be anywhere from March 19th to March 22nd. But the church recognizes March 21st as the equinox, regardless of time zone. This is the Paschal full moon, and it determines the date of Easter. The astronomical date varies between the 19th and the 22nd. So most of the time, that puts Easter right together. I mean, the astronomical date and the liturgical date usually are the same, but occasionally they are not. And an example of that is in 2019, the actual March equinox was on March 20th, which is a day before when the church recognizes the March equinox on March 21st. So according to astronomical calculations, the first full moon after the 20th was March 21st, and the Sunday after that is March 24th, but we didn't celebrate Easter on the 24th of March. We waited until the first full moon after March 21st, which was the 18th of April, and then the Sunday after that was April 21st, and that's when we celebrated Easter in 2019. So most of the time, the dates are right there together because it's just a real small window, but sometimes, a day can make a big difference, at least as about a month. So the question is, why does this date fluctuate around the way it does? And the possibility is that the Catholic Church, the Christians, wanted to bring people into the fold when they were sending people out to spread the word and bring people into Christianity, it was a little bit of a hard sell for some people who really liked the rituals that they were doing. For instance, the pagan rituals, pagans are polytheist and Christians are monotheists, which means we have one God and the pagans have many gods. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying there's a difference there. And when the Christians wanted to bring the pagans into the fold, the pagans didn't particularly want to give up their pagan rituals. So, possibly, those holy days on the liturgical calendar were strategically placed parallel to pagan ritual days so that it would be a draw to bring pagans into the fold, because they didn't want to lose their holidays, their special ritual days. It would be easy to say, well, we don't have that, but we do have this, and it would fall at a parallel time zone, time era for them to switch over. Now, I would just also like to point out this, that according to Andreas Kostenberger, I think I'm saying his name right, Justin Taylor and Alexander Stewart, who wrote The Final Days of Jesus, the most important week, the most important person who ever lived, virtually all scholars believe that Jesus Christ was crucified in the spring of either 30 or 33 AD. There's always been a question on the year, but virtually all of them do believe that Jesus was crucified in the spring of the year. So Easter, whether it is on a set date or not, does always fall in the spring. So we do have that. But there are other questions about different holidays and holy days in the liturgical calendar and where they fall according to actual historic events and then when they are celebrated on the liturgical calendar. So, an example of that would be Christmas. Now, Christmas is celebrated every year in December, on December 25th, and that's just been when everybody celebrates Christmas. But there are many scholars who think that perhaps Jesus was not born in December. And the reason for this is, and this is according to an article written by Joseph Castro and Jessica Leggett entitled, When Was Jesus Born? From LiveScience.com, they point out that Christmas, which is the birth of Jesus, probably did not happen in December. The year is speculated somewhere between 6 BC and 4 AD. There's always been some speculation on the exact year, and they specify that by when King Herod went out and started killing all the children under 2 years. Historically, they have pinpointed that down to somewhere between 6 BC and 4 AD. So that's how they are trying to pinpoint the year as close as they can. But they also speculate that the Roman Catholic Church chose December 25th because it ties in with the winter solstice. And actually, according to historical records, Castro and Leggett state that, and I'm quoting here, the Star of Bethlehem may have been Venus and Jupiter coming together to form a very bright light in the sky, which is a rare event that occurred in June of 2 BC. The light in the sky, the Star of Bethlehem that the Magi followed. That's what they're thinking may have been the big light in the sky. Another possibility is a similar conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter, which occurred in October of 7 BC. So one of those conjunctions probably was what led the Magi to the stables where Jesus was born. And so neither one of those days are in December. And the question is, what other parallels are there from the liturgical calendar of holy days and pagan ritual days? So there are several, actually. We've talked about Easter. Easter is a spring event, and we celebrate in Easter, we like to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, the rebirth of our souls, the beginning of this whole new faith, which was following Christ, breaking away from the Jewish tradition and following Christ, becoming Christians. That's what Easter is the whole celebration of. The pagan celebration of the spring solstice is rebirth, renewal, fertility. So there's some similarity there. I can see how those things are very similar. Also in Christmas, the pagan holiday of Christmas was called Yule. They had a Yule log, they had wreaths, they had candles. Our Christmas, we have incorporated a lot of that stuff into our Christmas celebration, our Christian celebration of the birth of Jesus. Even in the fall of the year, when we have Halloween, which Halloween is just the hallowed eve of All Saints' Day, which falls on November 1st every single year, and followed the following day on November 2nd by All Souls' Day. And we celebrate on those 2 days all the saints and all the souls who have died and gone on, whether they were saints and we feel like they truly are living a saintly life in heaven, or just souls that have died before us that we hope are living a blessed life in heaven. Those 2 days are set aside to celebrate those, and those were strategically placed on the liturgical calendar at the same time of Samhain, which is the Day of the Dead. And Samhain falls between the fall and winter solstice. So the fall equinox and the winter solstice is Samhain. So, and we somehow managed to put our celebration of saints and departed souls right there at the same time. So there is some correlation between our Christian holidays and pagan rituals. My question to you is this: does it make a difference? Does it make a difference to you if Jesus was really born in December, or should we celebrate it in June or October? Does it make a difference to you what day we celebrate these holidays? Does it make a difference to you if we celebrate Easter on one specific day, which was the actual day of the resurrection of Christ, or could we float it around the way we do? Does it make a difference to you that we somehow decided that we were going to celebrate the dead people also at the same time that the pagans had their ritual for the Day of the Dead? Does it make a difference? Does it shake your faith up? Does it make your faith stronger? Does it make your faith make more sense? Those are the questions we're going to talk about. We're going to take a break and have a message from our sponsor, and then we're going to come back and open the phone lines. Don't go away.